Hi, everyone, and welcome to a Gem of a Secret podcast. My name is Donatello My Secrets.
And my name is Coco Gem Holiday.
How are you doing tonight, Coco?
I'm doing okay, actually. I just got back from Vegas. Yeah,
How was that?
Well, I went there to apply for a residency. They said no, but
Did you wear a bubble the entire time?
I should have wore a bubble the whole time. Oh my god, that place is infested with COVID.
Great.
I know. It's just part of my thing right now. No, it was good. It was good.
Yeah.
It was so much fun, and like, here's the thing about Vegas. Like, I did really well financially with the gambling thing, but it's just like not open. Also,
Yeah. Well, I mean, pandemic.
yeah. I mean, and it shouldn't be open, but yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
Well, did you have fun at the ice bar? I saw it.
Oh my gosh, yeah! I went to the ice bar. It's called -5.
FaceTimed me from an ice bar.
Did I?
You
I
did.
don't remember that. Oh, I was very under the influence at that point. But the ice bar -5.
It looked like it was just you and Adam.
It was, and like, as embarrassing as that is to say,
-5, the amount of people that have
that can frequent the place.
that can frequent the place. Yeah.
No, it was so -5 is a bar this is gonna sound terrible. It's supposed to be like -5 degrees or whatever. It's actually 15 degrees.
Oh.
And so they give you can pay for whatever packages, and they give you an overcoat, and then you go into this bar, and it's completely made of ice. Like, so you're sitting on like benches that have like cow skin like bearskin rugs or whatever. So you're just sitting on that. All the glasses are completely made of ice, which is cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. It's so cool. And the other thing that was kind of crazy is just that, like, they have these different areas, and they had music videos playing, and like, so you could dance in there, and the floor was a little slippery, but like, it's just because of the condensation or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, it was just such a really interesting new experience that I just never thought I would have. And the only thing that was really cool was just my face, because obviously your face is uncovered because nobody covers their whole face.
Yeah.
And I was freezing here. It was like everything was a brain freeze because it was just so cold, and my body was warm, and then eventually when my body acclimated, then my legs were freezing because I was just wearing jeans.
Okay, this is fine. This is my life now.
I was like, I think I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
So Don, I forgot to ask, what are you wearing tonight?
Oh, I didn't go to Vegas, so I'm not wearing anything fancy. I simply rolled 5 feet out of my bed in my sheets. It's very avant-garde, though. I've come up with this runway walk that I present myself. It's really like it's a character study.
I can see it.
Yeah, it's called Depression Amid Pandemic. Because I haven't left my bed hardly in the last month.
You know what? I live for it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I tried to make an outfit completely out of snow, but it didn't work because there's no snow outside. So really what this outfit is, the brown spot, it's all just the dirt I was rolling in.
Oh,
because
nice.
I thought it'd be snow, but it wasn't. So it's mainly dirt, but like I kind of packed it in spaces to like give me a little bit of a hip shape.
Oh, yeah, I see.
It's just like a hip shape.
It's like when they would make like the clay huts and stuff.
Yeah, it's like that, but like the mud's not sticking right.
Oh, dang. Yeah, it's a little, she's a little lumpy in one area or two.
You got to try out things.
Yeah.
Hey, listeners. Sorry, we were just like going on about things.
We're weirdos, but you know what? That's why you're here, right?
Yeah, it's exactly why they're here. Like, we're definitely trying so hard to like give you guys this experience about what our lives are like, but it's always funny because like we don't go out in public, so we have to give you experience of like when the world was like young or new or something like that. That's what it feels like.
We have to talk about our past, unpack our trauma, our experiences.
Which it just feels like that's all I ever do now is just unpack trauma. Apparently I was living a really traumatic experience for a very long time.
I mean, Grand Junction, yes.
I mean, fair. And it's funny because I swear there are those people who still come out of the woodwork just to be like, if I say something about Junction, they'll be like, it's not that bad. I'm like,
I was just about to say, like, I wonder how many people listen to us and are like, oh, they just need to stop. They need to shut up about it.
Oh.
For me, honestly, it was I'd just rather forget a lot of things.
I would rather forget a lot of things. And at the same time, though, like, I want to not repeat the same mistakes.
Yeah, definitely.
So actually, I'm going to read you this thing. This person was talking to me about dating and whatever.
Yeah.
And so just to, segue into our conversation of the evening.
Okay.
He was basically saying to me, he said, I kind of want to be in a poly relationship,
Mm.
but I can't even find anybody. And I said, I understand that pain. And he's like, you have someone, so you don't understand my pain. I was like, yeah, but I didn't always have someone.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh really? He's like, everyone judges me so harshly. How do you finally find someone? And I know that everybody always wants to
Mm.
say the magical advice of just be yourself and stop looking because they'll show up.
Yeah.
You know what my advice for that is nowadays in my
What?
34-year-old of life? I said, by learning my faults and working them, then dating with zero expectations other than getting to know them and be
Yeah.
happy with any outcome, even if it doesn't lead to a relationship.
That is so good. That is so good. Look fucking inward. Sorry, I always cuss on here. I'm always the first one to drop an F-bomb. Um, but yeah, look inward. And no, you were exactly right with that advice. I think that's, can you repeat that again? I really
Yeah,
liked that.
definitely. It was like, he's like, well, how do you find someone? Because everybody always says just be yourself. And then
Yeah.
I said, by learning my faults and working on them.
Yes.
Then
Yes.
dating with zero expectations other than getting to know them
Oh my
and be
God.
happy with any outcome, even if it doesn't lead to a relationship.
It's the expectations that ruin it a lot of the time.
Yeah,
isn't
on
it?
both sides, because like they're
Yeah.
expecting you to be like, they see this hot guy on, let's just say Grinder, for instance.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, hey, blah, blah, blah. And then everybody sounds okay talking, to be honest,
Yeah.
on an app. Everybody sounds like mostly okay. And then you meet in person, and then the gay voice might be too high or too low for you.
Or yeah.
Like,
yeah.
and it's like kind of a turn off, but you push through because that's so shallow.
Yeah.
And then you start finding out that, yeah, they still have those same interests, but on this frame and with this person saying it, it's less sexy or something.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
and so you're
right.
going into it with expectations. So, like, my new advice has always been, well, not always, obviously, because it's new. My new advice is go into dating with zero expectations. Other than, getting to know them, be like, I just want to get to know you.
Yeah.
And accept everything they're giving you, because some things you can work through in the sense of, like, even in the dating phase, like, oh my gosh, their gay voice is a little too high. I can tell you right now, you're going to not notice a gay voice after like a couple of days.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
It just becomes part of who they are.
right. I know, and I think that's such an accurate description of what happens a lot of the time.
Mhm.
I feel like even with me, like people expect like a different voice to come out of like what they see.
Yeah.
Like
Because even so, like, so when we were in Vegas, we met this boy who we actually did this thing. I was like, oh, I want to see your Grindr profile.
Yeah.
And so we're like going through it, and he's like, yeah, he's like, people always say to me, this was interesting. He goes, people used to say, because his third photo used to be his first photo.
Yeah.
And he said he had to change it because people would say, gosh, you're just too intimidating on the app. Like, you're just too intimidating. Like, the whole thing is great. Like, the body was great. He was shirtless, like wearing sunglasses, and like he looked really hot, and his hair was done really nice.
Yeah.
He's just like probably sitting in the car though, I think is what it was. But he's like, yeah, people were like, oh yeah, you look too intimidating. I couldn't even say hello because you just wouldn't be interested in somebody like me.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'm like a hoe. Like, if you would talk to me, like,
Yeah.
you'd understand. Like, it's fine. And I can see that. I can
Yeah.
see that. We talked in our last episode about how those Grinder photos are so, like, you are so much more than everything that's always on your profiles.
Yeah.
Like, even your Instagram is only just like a small take on certain aspects of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, that expectation phase, that's why that whole thing of, and I do sit, because people will always come at me and say, well, you have to go into it with expectations or else you're going to end up with trash. And I'm like, no. I was like, the expectation is to get to know someone.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Exactly. I think, and it's so easy to like build up this idea of a person when you
Oh,
first
yeah.
start hanging out with
Oh,
them.
we all do it too.
Oh my gosh, and I think that's when, you know how okay, so there's a lot of things that have changed since the last episode, even though it's only been a week.
It's been a week.
First off, last episode I said that I wasn't going to be on any dating apps. That has changed. I decided to re-download them and make myself feel bad about myself again.
Oh, fair.
So yeah, that's been fun.
So I have to, I'll pause you right there too,
Yeah.
before you continue. So I did the first thing ever and created a profile for me and Adam, a couple profile on Grindr, Scruff, and Growler while we were in Vegas. So continue.
Oh yeah. But what I was saying, so
Oh, yeah.
I think that that anxious attachment that I had that entire time was because I had these crazy expectations for the person that I was talking to at the time. And I found that that's been the case even more recently with people that I've talked to.
I get, yeah, that can make, that makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
It does, because, well, because here's the thing though, because like right after my divorce, I told myself, and I think I told you this too, I was like, I want to date a bear, and I want him to be attractive, and I'm not going to settle for anything less.
Yeah.
And so I had all the expectations in the stupid world.
Mm-hmm.
And I got burnt. I mean, like my age old story is before Adam, went on a date with somebody, and they ended up ghosting me. Yeah. And it was so detrimental. They were a bear, like they were attractive and whatever. I was super interested, and I thought the date went well. In my opinion, we made plans for that Saturday, and then Saturday rolled up and they just ditched me. And actually, which I think I might have told you this story just once though, because I don't bring it up as much because it never even got to the dating phase. But I was at karaoke and I ran into a guy I always thought was super attractive, and we always flirted super hard. And even at that night at karaoke, we were flirting crazy amounts. Super hot, super into it. And we made plans for like later that week, and I did the crazy thing because whatever. So I messaged him at least twice a day up until the day and got no response, like at all. And then the day rolled around. I think I called him once and I texted 3 times. And so after that karaoke, of course, he never showed up to karaoke again. Never heard from him. Literally, I never heard from him again, actually.
The ghosting is the worst.
Oh, man. I forgot about that one. That one hit bad. Sideways. It did. Yeah. But the other thing that we're going to talk about on this episode is we're actually going to be talking after the break about what it's like to date other drag performers.
Yeah.
But we're also going to go a little bit deeper into relationships that we've just had in general, about like just and kind of giving you guys some advice and some insight into like what it's like, because me and Donna have both grown drastically in the last like 5 or 6 years when it comes to like what we expect from dating.
You know, before we go off to the break, one thing that I used to do that I feel like I'm doing less of now is it has exactly to do with the expectations that we were just talking about, where you meet this person, you talk about these things that you have in common with this person and the things that you eventually want to do with your life, and you think, you know, like you start getting ahead of yourself sometimes maybe, and you're like, okay, well, how would this person fit into my life and do this? And it's like you kind of plan like how this would work, and then all of a sudden it ends. And it's like, well, I made up a great relationship in my head with this person, but it's not how it actually happened.
Yeah, and it's there's that classic meme that me and Donna used to laugh at that said, hey, I just met this new guy, and then the next text message is like, never mind. 2 weeks later, never mind.
Yeah.
So, Donna, I forgot to ask, how are you doing this evening?
Oh, you know, Coco, I'll let you know after this brief commercial break. Do you wear t-shirts? Do you wear a face mask?
I sure as hell hope so.
Do you put on your silly little t-shirt and your silly little face mask and wish you had something a little more out there?
Yes.
Even something, dare I say, matching?
Girl, yes, duh.
Then it looks like HunterDrips.com is exactly what you need. At HunterDrips.com, socially relevant merch and apparel is up for sale. That's never for profit. 50 to 100% of every purchase is donated.
I hear they carry matching shirts and masks with designs that say cute little slogans like defund the police, Black Lives Matter, and it goes over your nose. And even shirts and hats with your own pronouns on them. You know, things that are important.
Oh, so you mean important. And almost all of it is donated?
Yes, donated. And guess what?
What? It's size inclusive too?
Yes, up to 5XL. Why just make clothes for skinny people? It's all made by Queer Artist Girl. The creator of HunterDrips.com is trans, fat, lesbian, and the site also includes merch from other queer artists, including gay Portland rapper Tono.
Listeners, head on over to HunterDrips.com and use the code SECRET for 15% off your purchase today.
That's SECRET for 15% off your purchase at hunterdrips.com.
It's a podcast with Coco and Donatella podcast. Tune into What They Tell You podcast with Coco and Donatella podcast.
Well, Coco, I'm feeling like we're doing part 2 of our relationships episode because I'm what? Addicted to trauma.
Addicted
Drudging
to
up all of
drama.
this. This is fun, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm gonna get a little down and dirty with y'all. So before me and Adam were official, I was dating 2 other people at the same time, and I'm not going to use their real names on this podcast just in case it ever blows up.
Yeah.
We're gonna call the blonde dude Henry, and
Okay.
we're gonna call the drag artist that we knew at the time, we're gonna call him Casey.
Okay.
And so Casey, it was so interesting. So I am just going to expose all of my business for our listeners because I think that'll be more interesting anyway.
Yeah.
So
why not?
obviously after a divorce, you want to hoe it up a little bit, I suppose.
Yeah.
And how it started with Casey, it was interesting. I said, God, this sounds so terrible to admit online. I just said, hey, you should send me a nude. I'm not joking. That's how it started. And he said, really? And I was like, yeah, sure.
Do it.
Do it, whatever. And he did, and whatever. I was like, oh, cool. I was like, do you want to like maybe hook up later or something? And he's like, oh yeah, sure. I get off work at whatever time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so like, and obviously, like I was so vulnerable at the time, and like, cause I went through those ghostings, obviously.
Yeah.
And then I went kind of back on dating apps, and I started feeling a little more confident, and so what that led me to having my first ever dating a drag artist.
Yeah.
Relationship. So, and let's go into yours.
Oh, how I've only started dating drag artists apparently when I moved to Portland. I think it was because the only people I interacted with when I first moved here in my first year were people in the drag scene.
Fair. Absolutely fair.
So yeah, like I tried things out with a couple of drag queens and it didn't go well. It's strange. It's very strange. You have to keep your ego in check. But I was always very nice and supportive. So,
Yeah, well,
but that's how I am as a partner. So,
yeah, and what really drives me crazy, and I hope that they do listen to this, is I always got so annoyed at the fact that the people that Donna dated always wanted to be put in drag. At least once.
oh yeah,
And it was,
that too.
Oh, so irritating.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, that's true because there was the person that I dated that started doing drag when they were dating me, right?
Yes.
And then there was,
was-
another guy that just wanted to like get into makeup and stuff. And
Yeah.
actually, honestly, they always wanted me to put him in makeup. Sometimes it may not have even been full drag. Sometimes it was.
Yeah.
So I guess the only time I ever dated another established queen or was interested in established queens were when I moved to Portland. But in Colorado, it was always like, they would. I'd already be dating them, and they would take it on as an interest of
Yeah,
theirs.
that's a really good point, actually, come to
Yeah.
think of it. Yeah, because, actually...
And I think there's a difference.
Yeah, there's definitely a difference, because an established entertainer,
Yeah.
like the ins and outs and the dynamic is different, because they would... like the accolades.
Yeah.
Like, because you can get jealous easier with somebody who's a little bit more established, and you don't get booked in the same gigs, or you could show up to the same place and somebody's like, oh, you look gorgeous, and the other one's just like not getting any compliments or praise.
But I never got mad about the painting thing because I love makeup. You know me. I love makeup, and for me, it's like it'd be something for me and like a partner to bond over, for me to like do their makeup.
That's interesting. Like, it's funny because, like, so Adam used to do drag, actually. So technically, I mean, not really. He tried a lot, and he liked it, and he wants to get into it, but he really appreciates the DJing side of it. But he was actually a pretty decent performer. I put him in an amateur drag show once, and he actually did a really great job.
Yeah.
Yeah. In my opinion, his slow drag was better than everybody else's slow drag in that competition, which I just thought was fantastic. He did do a really good job.
Yeah.
And I've painted him a couple of times. I just suck at painting people. I'd love Donna to like maybe paint him someday to see what that would look like and whatever, because Donna's a lot better at painting people than I am. But Yeah, so I've not had your experience actually. Then I've never really
Yeah.
dated an established drag artist because the one that I was dating at the time, Casey, had just started
Just started.
and had been in a couple
Yeah.
of shows at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's, I mean, yeah, it's an interesting experience. I don't know if I would ever do. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not, that's the thing. Okay, we're also going to be talking about polyamory too, so this is going to be a good segue
yeah,
into that. I am open to love in whatever forms it presents itself in my life as long as it's real. You know? So
Yeah.
I'm open to love. So I'm not gonna say never would I ever date another drag queen. Fuck that, because I think that that's stupid. And honestly, like, I'm not put off by feminine qualities in guys because you know what, we're gay men and we're bound to have some sort of feminine qualities. And I think that it's a symbol of strength and it's a symbol of knowing who you are.
Right.
But I also was propositioned over quarantine anonymously. I don't know who these people are, but they were hitting me up and they had been to my shows and seen me out in drag. And I've been propositioned to be in a throuple, but I still don't know who these people are.
yeah.
And I thought about that possibility for myself, and I thought, you know what? I'm also open to that possibility of love. If that's how love presents itself truly, I mean, in some sort of, real way to me, then who am I to deny that?
Right. And I've participated in open relationships and thruples in the past, and I can tell you that it takes a lot of work and dedication. I mean, and just everything. Communication is so key in those relationships. And I've been, what I find weird about the whole, okay, so let's talk about our stances first before we get into it.
Okay.
So, I would say probably I'll go back 10 years. So 10 years ago, my picture perfect thing was monogamy. Not of course, but kind of course, because that's the only thing we're told. We don't know that there's other options. I thought about monogamy, great job, white picket fence, American dream. And honestly, and it wasn't that it was grilled into me. I just really wanted to have an easy life with nice things.
Yeah.
I liked how I grew up. We had a nice house. I wanted to have that. And I wanted a partner that could help me in life and like possibly take care of children someday. So that was my start.
Yeah.
And so what was your start with monogamy or with monogamy?
I mean, honestly, my parents were high school sweethearts, so that was my view of monogamy and relationships were people who knew each other from the time they were in middle school or high school and got married and had kids and stayed together and worked through their fights and all that and didn't go to bed angry at each other as much as they could avoid doing that,
Yeah.
So, that was my view. That was kind of what I adopted because that was what I was raised around, and that's what I always wanted for myself. But I think that just recently that's changed.
So what about so why did it change?
Because I think that I'm boxing myself in by limiting that to being the only way that I can find love. I think love exists in a lot of different forms, and as long as it's between consenting people that are of age, then I think that why bash on that, or why trivialize it? Why make it taboo?
Yeah, and I can see that. So because I used to say love should be between consenting adults.
Yeah.
Like that was my biggest thing. And what I noticed, I used to say that even before I really appreciated non-monogamy. When I looked at non-monogamy, obviously non-monogamy hits queer people, just for our listeners out there. Usually when you're on dating apps, you're going to find somebody who's in a relationship and you immediately think they're cheating because that's all you've been told. And then you realize that this is he's like, oh no, my partner's on here too. Like you can message either one of us and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you just like, wow, they must have great communication and all this other stuff. And I can tell you right now that the fantasy of it seems really interesting, but the practice of it can be incredibly challenging.
Yeah.
Because you don't know. there's so much to learn in that world. And what sucks is because, once again, like media doesn't represent poly relationships often.
No, it doesn't really, and I haven't seen it done in a decent way, at least on from what I've viewed. Yeah.
Literally ever, actually, for me, I've never seen
I
it.
don't think I've ever seen it really. I mean, other than the examples that I've seen of like thruples and stuff, like I don't know, like the whole Derek Barry,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, in
Nick
that
San
capacity,
Pedro
but
and-
like not like even in obviously a fiction-based story,
yeah,
like to where it's not the primary part of the story. Like that's why it gets at me.
I mean, I don't think there's anyone that's doubting though that those relationships are nuanced and challenging. You know,
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's doubting that. I think that it definitely like, from my experience, like if I were to ever be in one of those, then I mean, especially so I was thinking of how this one that I was approached on one of these apps over the last few months would work out. And it's like an established couple is wanting a third, and I would be the third coming into this situation. So
Right.
what does that mean for me? That means me getting to know these people really, really well. That means me, you know, kind of like hanging out with them, learning to trust them, learning to deal with their weird individual quirks and all of that. And if it fits, then it fits. But if it doesn't, then you can't make it work. So
Yeah.
I guess that's what it is for me. Is like if it works, then it works, and I'm not going to deny myself that opportunity because I know that there are weird instances in which it does.
Yeah, because it can.
Yeah.
And the thing is, so the language right now, which is considered okay, but then sometimes offensive, is like primaries and secondaries. Because like most people who are traditional poly are like, well, there's nobody primary and secondary. I'm dating this person, or this person's my wife,
Yeah.
or this person's my husband, and this person's my girlfriend, or this person's my husband, and this person's my boyfriend.
Yeah.
So, you know, like stuff like that. And what I've recognized is a person inviting a third into the relationship, I would really want to know what the aspect of that is. A lot of people do it to fix,
Yeah.
which obviously always ends up really poorly.
That doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes it's just, sometimes it can work. Like and even in the sense of even fixing a relationship, sometimes it can work. Because what you have to imagine is, usually when somebody's a boyfriend, obviously that person's not living with you.
Yeah.
You do have to still give that person time and attention. So, you know, you still have to wake up, kiss your wife, and then, you know, send the good morning text message to your girlfriend.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And you still have those meaningful relationships, but with the understanding of that your needs, the time is split. The time is definitely split. And sometimes that works for people because sometimes somebody's really busy. And they're like, I can't give you all you need.
Yeah.
Like, so if we had more people in this relationship, it would help you out in that capacity.
Yeah. Yeah. It's sometimes it can help things.
Well, and when I was doing poly, sometimes I would buy gifts. So with me and my partner at the time, we would buy gifts together for our third.
Yeah.
And we would talk about it and have discussions and whatever, and we'd all share a bed. And like that was cool and interesting too. And good sleep because it's a big enough bed.
Yeah.
And like, so stuff like that was fine.
Yeah.
And then you could have conversations and you were never really lonely and you felt really supported. Like, so I really liked those aspects of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but I've never done that though. I've never joined into a couple to examine all of their ins and outs and problems, because they are
Yeah.
going to have problems. Every relationship does.
It's so strange to me that I've never had anyone approach me about anything like this before, but over quarantine I was approached by like two people, two different couples, and I was like, and I was, you know, one of them I didn't know enough, and then one of them they were anonymous and I didn't know them at all. But I just thought it got me thinking of like the possibility of that, and I was like, you know, like if it did come down to it, I guess it's not such a bad thing, you know, even though I was raised to think that, you know, you should be with one person, one special person only.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's archaic and a little bit barbaric.
It is.
To
It is.
hold on to those ideals forever. And I don't want to knock anybody who wants monogamy, of course.
Yeah.
But I wanted to talk about these relationships in a way that is a little bit more like, because I've lived both, and because right now, obviously, I'm in a monogamous relationship with a wonderful man, and we've had conversations about non-monogamy and things like that. But the things that I would want non-monogamy for don't really fit because I'm getting it all from one person.
Yeah.
And I say that I'm just lucky in that. I don't think of it necessarily as a blessing. I just say that I'm lucky because not most relationships, the reason you still have your friends is because you can't get everything you need from one person. So you still have your friends, fun that you play hockey with, and the one you go to the bar with, and the one you gab to, because you can't expect your partner to be everything.
Yeah.
And if you want to have sexual friendships and whatever, and they bleed into relationships, then that's still great.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's definitely the interesting thing about being here. I find that on the app specifically, you see a lot more open and poly couples. Sometimes there's been days, like even when I was on Tinder, that I'm like, I'm running into more like poly open couples than I am like just individuals.
Yeah, and actually that was frustrating though. Because after my divorce, I didn't want to go into I didn't want to be a third.
Yeah.
That just felt like a lot of baggage.
Yeah.
So have you heard of the website called Sniffies?
No.
It's actually starting to get some more traction. It's not even, it took me forever to find it because I learned about it in Vegas. And it's kind of like if Adult Friend Finder and Grindr like became one thing. And what's so fast? So I really did. I looked it up and I could not find it.
Yeah.
And so I asked the person who told me about it, and I was able to get the website, which is sniffies.com. And you can join with a profile, or you can join completely anonymous, which is nice. You don't have to create a profile. And it shows you more accuracy of where a person is located, like on the map. Like it shows you like a Google Maps map, and then it has all the dots of where people are and your picture, and like so, and it's more direct about what people are looking for. And so like you're like, because sometimes you're like, I'm not gonna travel to like, because we live in Portland, like I'm not gonna travel to like Tigard or Beaverton to like hook up with somebody or something like that. So this is like more helpful for the like, this is where I am, this is where I'm located, this is what I'm looking for. And like, and I just was like, I really appreciated that. And you can see if people were online or offline. And then they also gives you the option of seeing all the people on the app who are offline, or you can filter it for people just online right now. And just a lot of stuff like that. And I was like, this is a little bit better. Because with Grindr, you have your boxes.
Yeah.
And your boxes is supposed to symbolize how close someone is. But what is 447 feet? Like,
yeah, for real.
I don't know what that means to me. And so this app was kind of really interesting. I'll have to show it to you after the episode.
Okay, yeah.
I was just like, oh, okay, like whatever.
Another platform.
So I wanted to, as we get to the end of our episode here, I wanted to make sure that we were leaving our listeners with a little bit more of an upswing. Yeah. And because I know that like me and Donna get really introspective, and it's how we process trauma. Like I really should change this to, instead of a gem of secrets, it should be processing trauma with Donna and Coco.
Yes. Processing our past.
So you've recently, it always becomes an interview, of course. So you've learned recently about some of your manic tendencies for like whenever you would start getting ghosted and things like that. And I remember, like even a year ago, roughly, when it was happening with somebody you were dating, and you were just, and you started going down that spiral. But like the last couple of times this has happened to you, like you didn't spiral as bad. No. So why is that, and what changed, and what advice can you give our listeners?
I stopped taking it so personally.
Ooh.
That was really important. It was to stop taking it personally. Because
you don't know all the details of someone's life.
Exactly. I don't know why they decide to stop messaging back. I don't ask all the time either. I don't ask most of the time. Sometimes I figure it out, and it's nice because like I can kind of gauge why and adjust. But if that was their prerogative to leave in that way, then that was how it was meant to happen, and I can't really waste tears over it, like I used to. I think it's more so I just learned a lot from a slew of really bad situations that I used to take way too personally, and I used to get really sad over. I used to break my own heart over all of that. But
Oh, yeah, that phrase. That's a good phrase. I used to break my own heart a lot too.
yeah.
My phrase was, I loved the line from Rent, which I've said on here before, that Angel, I can't remember. Oh, sorry, Maureen sings that the whole, like, I'd be happy to die for a taste of what Angel has.
Yeah.
The one that,
Someone to live for,
Yeah.
someone to say I love you.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just, that line struck such a chord with me.
Mm-hmm.
And it still does to this day. Just like, and I feel like I have that now, but
Yeah.
like I was looking for that so much, and when it didn't happen, that line was what would actually break my heart.
It's not afraid to say I love you. That's
Yeah,
what it was.
happy to die for a taste of what Angel had, someone to live for, unafraid to say I love you.
Yep.
Yeah, and when I think about how I actually get, instead of like chuckling at it, I actually get really sad.
Yeah.
When I think about how hard I would try, because I do think you need to try in dating and try in relationships,
Yeah.
and how hard I would, because I'd be so accepting of whatever someone would give me.
Yeah.
Oh, and I will say this briefly. So the Henry, because we talked about Casey, with Henry wasn't really on board with BLM as much,
Oh,
like
I
didn't
remember that.
quite understand it.
Yeah.
And like I got really quiet and I was thinking about it, and they're like, well, he even said, well, I feel like I messed up here. And I'm like,
No
and
shit.
I loved that, because that's acknowledgement. 'Cause
Yeah.
God, acknowledgement is so important in a relationship, especially dating.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a deal breaker, but it was close enough to being one that I think that's when I was just like no longer feeling it. Because the other thing too is Henry was also the guy, I remember, that we went on a date walking up and down Main Street.
Yes.
And I ran into a bunch of people, and I'm like a popular drag queen in the city.
Yeah.
And we ran into people, and he said he didn't know if he could get behind that life. Now, what's interesting is, so for instance, like in Portland, like Devlin Lynn Phoenix, who I think is so stunning, her partner doesn't go out to a lot of the shows, and they seem
Yeah.
to be really happy, and they've been together a very long time.
There's a few people where that's kind of the case. and
Yeah,
I
I think it's
that's-
actually more of the norm.
Yeah, I think so
actually.
too. Yeah.
And they seem to be happy. Like, it's like that person, like Valerie DeVille too, has
Yeah.
somebody who doesn't come out, and
Yeah.
and she seems to be very happy. And like, even when I see Isaiah out, like,
Yeah.
so a lot of these people have this scenario, and they make it work. But I'm always out trying to do the hustle,
Yeah.
so I feel like I would never see my partner, and I need for me to see my partner, not like every minute of the day, but often. And drag can be from 6 p.m. to 1 in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a long time.
Yeah.
And so Henry didn't work out because they didn't know if they could get behind that. And the two other people, so Casey and Adam, did want to come out.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, let's party and let's go out and let's meet people. And they weren't social butterflies, but they could be out. So
Yeah.
Henry kind of just like lost his shtick, because even though conversation with Henry was easy, though.
Yeah.
And oof, God, I could fall in love with the person with the conversation. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Let me stay up till 4 in the morning talking about nothing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So what I wanted to ask you is, what is the biggest thing that you're looking for? Like, if you could have an expectation, and we all should have them.
I mean, you kind of asked me this last episode though too. Patience. Someone willing to come at me without too much harsh judgment for my past, because we all have one. I'm looking for baggage that goes with mine. Let's end it on a Rent quote. How
I
about
love that. I love that. I used to say that a lot too. I was just like, I'm looking for baggage that goes with mine. 'Cause it's true.
Yeah, yeah.
It's true. Something that compliments you. Always with the, like, yeah, complimentary relationships will always be more fulfilling.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. definitely.
Yeah, so I'm sorry we made you all sad, listeners, if we did.
No, I like talking about this. I like talking about ourselves.
I know.
And talking about love.
Well, and
It's
our new
fun.
setup gives us the opportunity. This is what happens because me and Donna don't talk a lot during the week because we're both just so busy. And so our new microphone setup gives us a chance to actually like look at each other and talk.
Yeah.
And so it's like a conversation more so than us just like broadcasting to a microphone.
Exactly. Exactly. This is our like catch up after I spend the month hiding in a blanket fort in my room.
Gosh, I love blanket forts.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the end of our episode, listeners.
Yes, thank you for tuning in this week. We will catch up with you next week.
Make sure to leave us any comments or questions you have for us because we want to do a comments and questions episode.
Yeah.
But we need to have some rolling in, and we know that there's actually quite a few of you out there listening now.
Yeah.
So, leave
shoot us a question. Slide into the DMs.
Yeah, slide in there hard, but with lube.
Or also just go to a gemofasecretpodcast.com.
And then leave a comment. Yay.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
This has been another episode of A Gem of a Secret podcast. The hosts of A Gem of a Secret podcast are Donatella My Secrets and Coco Gem Holiday. You may follow Donatella My Secrets at Donatella_My Secrets on Instagram. You may follow Coco Gem Holiday at Coco Gem Holiday on Instagram. Original music by Touche Douche and Party Favors. You can follow them respectively at The Touche Douche and at Party Favors Music on Instagram. For more exclusive content, visit www.agemofasecretpodcast.com. That is AJEM of a secret podcast.com. Be sure to tune in every week on Thursday for a new episode wherever you listen to podcasts. If you have any comments or questions, email us at agemofasecretpod@gmail.com. Please don't forget to like, rate, and subscribe. Until next time, goodbye.